welcome to the Daily Space Weathermon. I be your host, smAsho. We're starting things out looking at the sun here. Sunspot 2759, getting into a more Earth-facing zone. There's also a plume of plasma, someplace around here, sticking out toward you, the observer, as long as you're observing from Earth. And you can't really see it from this view, so let's go out to Stereo A for a quick moment. For you new viewers, Stereo A is out here, trailing the Earth as it orbits the Sun, and seeing space weather first in this sort of orientation. So here's the view from the coronagraph out there, and you can see once again we have this large plume of plasma, and that could become a coronal mass ejection, folks. And sometimes these are associated with X-ray flares and so on. The propensity for that has gone up a little bit as we see a sunspot rotating in. So that's something to keep an eye on. And speaking of keeping an eye on, have you been keeping an eye on the internet? Have you noticed how certain companies do not do what they claim to do, such as, provide objective search results or monetize your videos? Now, once again, 2 days ago, the video from March 30th has been demonetized. So that's because of an algorithm. So now we've requested a manual review, and in Google's defense, Google has indeed been remonetizing most of our videos just in time for nobody to tune into them, which is how Google ensures that they pay us nothing for these videos. Were you aware of this video on BitChute? Just take a moment for that to sink in, folks. See that thumbnail? I'm just going to leave that on the screen for a minute. Ta-da! That was published on March 19th, and guess what? It got demonetized on YouTube and determined by manual review to be inappropriate. Apparently, such a thing, read the screen, is controversial. And advertisers would never want you knowing about such things like that, as apparently the truth is now a controversy. So please follow us on BitChute, and if you want to see that video, it's there. And again, it's been there since March 19th. You would think it would get more views than the one about the cringeworthy Democrat Party, but hey, what can you do? At least we're getting multiple times as many views over at BitChute as we are on YouTube. And so it's helping us fulfill our smAsho mission. So perhaps check us out there, bitchute.com/smAshomat. We're also on other social media, such as on Gab. We're on Twitch. Also check out Golden Fish Productions and STFU Noobtard and Pleco Thoughts. Those are run by smAsho staff if you want to follow what she's doing. And we are coming at you from the Smash Bunker. And I've decided to kill myself. April Fools, folks. I didn't decide to kill myself. I've decided to tell Google to kill itself because the Google Assistant keeps opening, and I won't say, okay, you know who, because it'll cause your junkware assistant to open up. Anyway, I told Google Assistant to kill itself, and it provided me the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. If you're having suicidal thoughts, and I'm not having any, by the way, I'm just joking when I say stuff like that, perhaps call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Don't kill yourself. The world's not ending. And your soul is going to be kicked in the nuts if you kill yourself over this scary, scary, spooky pandemic designed to frighten you. We're also on Facebook. We're on Minds. And man, oh man, do we have a lot of views over there. Over 600,000 now. With only 732 subscribers, which is a massive subscriber to view ratio. It's minds.com/smAshomash, the future of social media, where you won't be censored, you won't be shadow banned, you won't have your posts buried, and you'll see the posts that you wish to see. Next, we're looking at HelioViewer. We're looking at the fields here, as well as 171 angstroms and 304. There are the fields associated with Sunspot. I believe it's 2759. I haven't even looked, as there's too much stuff to do, as I am massively overworked, underpaid, and stressed to the point of considering quitting my job. And that's not an April Fool's joke. There's a 304 angstroms view. Here are the fields. We'll fade to that. And the main umbrae are just in these Oh, that's right. I can't use Epic Pen on HelioViewer for some freaking reason. Anyway, the main umbrae are in the leading portion. See these white spots? Those are North Pole polarity, making that a cycle 25 sunspot. And we don't see any umbrae associated with South Pole polarity yet, but that could still happen. Again, we're looking at a very, we're not looking at this perpendicularly here. We're looking at this from quite an angle, as this is very high up off the equator. And there's the 171 angstroms view again. So again, we see no umbrae with the trailing fields, and that's something to keep an eye on throughout the day, as that would significantly increase the possibility of X-ray flares. Next, we'll look at 193 angstroms, and we've got some diffuse coronal holes around the solar equator here also. So there's a bunch of plasma in this region, which is actually sticking out toward you, which is why you can't see it from the SDO, but you can from stereo A. And I would keep an eye on that if I had time to throughout the day and didn't have to do all kinds of other things to protect the food supply. 10.7 centimeter radial flux is still at 69 solar flux units. Here's where stuff is in the solar system. And we're getting another spooky Doritos-shaped triangle here between Mercury, the Earth, and Venus. Please leave a comment if you prefer Cool Ranch or nacho cheese. It looks like a full moon in a week also. And, oh, by the way, no. Yes, that. Spike pile drive that thing, folks. You know how many billions of cases are probably already on the planet? You will never know how many, and you will never stop the spread. You might change the time frame. The number of cases overall will be the same, no matter what you do. That is not April Fool's, that's just reality. Next, we're looking at a star chart to see once again Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars trying to overlap each other in the morning sky. So very close. And if you've got a low horizon, perhaps go have a look at that. X-ray flux is still flatlined, and again, we wouldn't be surprised to see this come up, especially if we see some umbrae associated with those trailing South Pole-oriented fields on that sunspot. Next, we're looking at the real-time solar wind. And I'm going to have to vanish. See, it goes in reverse, too. Anyway, we see the phi angle shifting around quite a bit here. This is a fleeting coronal hole magnetic connection. That one was at about 6:34 universal time, and very short-lived. Probably those coronal holes around the solar equator. We've seen the solar wind density ramping down over the past 24, now at about 7.8 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed ramped down also as forecasted to 477, and yes, we forecasted it yesterday. There's the most recent data from ACE, and you see the solar wind density has been dropping off a cliff here down to less than 1 for periods according to the ACE, as well as some missing data. And let's take a quick look at cosmic rays, as I don't think we've looked at that for a couple of days here. We're going to look at Apatity, Athens, Mexico City, Moscow, Oulu, and Antarctica. There's Apatity. Pretty flat. Maybe even a slight downtrend over the past 30. There's Barentsburg. Similarly flat. Next, we're going to look at I'm going to learn how to speak English and then look at Athens. The Athens neutron monitor is still not sending back data. That's old data. Next, we'll look at Mexico City. A cosmic ray observatory, probably not too far from Popocatépetl. Please leave a comment if you've seen Popocatépetl in person. Oh, shout out to Be Stoic. You should post about that, Be Stoic, on smashomash.com/forum. There's a geophysics section in there, and I believe Mary's got a post, and we just don't have time to mess with it right now. So we invite you, all viewers, to head to smashomash.com/forum. When the video is complete, there's the small uptrend noted at Mexico City over the past 30 days. And we thank you, Mexico City, for continuing to send data. As well as you, Moscow. Nicely done. And don't call it Moscow. That's a cow that eats lichens. It's pronounced Moscow. Ask Bill Whittle, he agrees. And we see a downtrend at Moscow over the past 30 days. Oh, that's old data too. Damn, it only goes to March 10th. Shucks. Next we'll look at Oulu, Finland. Stop. Don't touch me there. That is my Oulu square of neutron monitor data. And it's pretty flat, maybe a slight downtrend over the past 30 days. There's DOMC Antarctica, pretty flat over the past 30 days, and DOMB Antarctica still not sending data, and we usually always link to the Network of Cosmic Rays Station's site. And let's get back to other data as we continue to encourage people to spike pile drive that little bug, you crush bug, and you're a winner. You're a winner, crush bug. Next, we're looking at the Geospace Magnetosphere movie. There's 4 hours of data, roughly. And come, let us not be defeated. Let us rise and take the day roughly from behind, as the Colonel used to say in his unfortunate way. Next, we'll look at ground magnetic perturbations. As the planet has 2 north poles right now, one over Canada, one over Siberia, and the south pole is in the southern Indian Ocean off the Antarctic continent. Were you aware? Well, we're glad to report on it if you weren't. And please share the videos on your social media if your friends don't know anything about it, as it could impact their lives in ways that they have no idea about. And that's part of the reason why we exist. It's to share a little bit of actual information about the way science really works and is changing all the time, thank goodness. Ghost magnetometers continue to look spiky. No surprise there. It's been forecasted. And we'll tell you when this is going to smooth out, and it ain't yet. And that sunspot is only going to ensure that the South Pole polarity remains in charge of the current sheet. Shown here in red is South Pole polarity. Shown in green is North Pole. And the current sheet, the part of it on which the Earth lives. And by the way, you'll live. Most likely. It's shown in red. So anyway, here's the line of sight field plot. That was the top view ecliptic plane field plot if you want to go look for yourself. The data's 2 hours and 5 minutes old. And you can see a little bit of the B field being pulled up this way. And that's kind of how a sunspot affects it when the sun is in this solar minimum mode. Relativistic electrons have risen as forecasted. And the GOES electron flux may reach warning levels today. Expect to see some GPS errors, especially around the equator at noon. Next, we'll look at 6 hours of the ionosphere. There's the 6-hour ionosphere animation, courtesy Government of Australia Bureau Meteorology. And we see significant discharges there at nighttime. And it's looking a little wobbly. A pretty anomalously discharged ionosphere there. Overnight, heavily discharged over Africa. And those red blobs are areas where your radio signal propagation will go right into space and not be re-emitted by the electrons in the ionosphere back to Earth, to your target. Next, we're looking at windy.com's pressure maps. We'll let that advance 24 hours, and then we'll move on as we show you a massive anticyclone over the Canadian North Pole region. Here's where things will be according to the GFS forecast. At 12 noon tomorrow, dual low pressure systems in the central Atlantic. And we are streaming live to Twitch. It's twitch.tv/smAsho. If you're viewing anyplace else, it wasn't live. Here's the 6.5 magnitude earthquake that struck Idaho. And there's about 16,000 people living nearby to this, as it's in a pretty unpopulated looking area in the Salmon River Mountains. A 6.5 quake, the largest quake to strike that area since 1983. Let's go down the whole list here. Let's go down the rabbit hole of the list. So that's the largest quake of the past 24, I believe. A 6.5 magnitude quake under Idaho. And it's shallow. It was at the surface. Estimated depth of 10 kilometers. Just scrolling up the list here, folks. Here's a deep quake in Japan. It's a 4.1 magnitude at 430 kilometers. Depth, that is. And let's move on to talk about how we're not going to talk cosmology, and we're not going to, no, hey, don't even think about, and I don't know what we're looking at here. It looks like the smAsho forum. And we're actually not going to cover that on this video. Actually, we will. We will cover it. If you head to smashomash.org, all you got to do to get to the forum, I mean, you could type in smashomash.com/forum. That would be easy. But you can type smashomash.org. Just scroll down and click there. You may be interested in the free-for-all section or perhaps the insanity files. You can view the stuff for free. We're almost to 300 users there. But there's this one section that people may be very interested in, as we've recently updated it once again, including a graphical analysis of European monitoring data, the president of the German Robert Koch Institute regarding pre-existing conditions, the Italy situation beginning to calm down, an article in the European Journal of Clinical Investigation. So we invite everybody to feel free to update, and this is from the Swiss Propaganda Institute, investigating propaganda and nonsense and trying to provide actual truths. And we don't want Google to translate, as it would have to read the page then. So perhaps check this out. Founded in 2016, an independent nonprofit research group investigating geopolitical propaganda in Swiss and international media. Switzerland's one of the best places you would move to if you're an American patriot who doesn't like what's going on right now, as Switzerland is still one of the capitals of liberty in Europe. Anyway, there's the silver price, nearly down to $14 an ounce, and I'm not going to say anything else, except job losses in the U.S. could total 47 million, and the unemployment rate may hit 32%, according to the Fed estimates. And perhaps take that with a grain or a truckload of salt. There's the data from Johns Hopkins, and I'm not going to taffer around on that page at all. I am going to say the word hydroxychloroquine, because apparently that's controversial. And if you don't know about hydroxychloroquine, are you listening to some loon on the internet rant about nonsense and tell you to wipe off a bag of chips from the grocery store? Cut me a break. Let's talk about my grocery store procedures. My grocery store procedures have not changed. When I went to the grocery store 2 months ago, guess what I did? I went around the store, I did my shopping, I came home, I put the groceries away, and I washed my hands. Guess what I did the last time I went to the grocery store? Yeah, I came home, I put the groceries away, I washed my hands, I called it a day. I didn't wear a mask. I didn't freak out. I didn't dive on the floor because somebody got too close to me. Yeah. Are you familiar with the term central bank? A national bank that's totally unconstitutional, that operates to establish monetary and fiscal policy and to control the money supply and interest rate? Prior to 1913, the U.S. interest rates were provided by a thing called the free market, and now they're artificially controlled by a cartel of banks known as the Federal Reserve. Created in 1913 on December 23rd, signed into law by Woodrow Wilson, a loon who even regretted his decision to sign that into law himself, citing it as the biggest mistake that he's ever made, and indeed doing that to the American economic machine is one of the greatest blunders of all time for mankind. Constitutionally speaking, the Treasury does not even have the ability to create paper money only to create metal coins like gold and silver ones. So I don't know, maybe send the
Treasury
an email and ask them when they're going to get rid of this paper money, because I don't know, you may have discovered that there's some inflation on the way as money rains down from the skies and creates slush funds for every government and corporation you could possibly imagine, and people are very concerned about getting their $1,200 check while prices rise proportionally and they experience zero income as a result of the $1,200 checks. And no, yes, no, yes. Get it? Get it? Thy power comes from within. And that's not an April Fool's joke. Most of you are probably naturally immune. Let's look at the volcanoes of April Fool's Day. Tucono's not fooling around. It's exploding, producing an 8,000-foot ash plume. Popocatépetl, we don't know, but please don't pole vault the caldera. It could be unhealthful. Nevados del Ruiz, no ash seen in satellite. Sangay, 20,000-foot plume there as it explodes. Sabancaya, flight level 24,000 there as it explodes. And Nevados de Chilean also exploding, flight level 12,000 there. Next look at the jet streams. There are the jets of the eastern world. We've got tripled up jet streams there in the Middle East, northeast of India. A little bit less extreme meridional jet stream flow here. There is the western world, and there are some real oddities there around the north geographic pole, as the entire area, this whole region up here, is dominated by massive anticyclonic high pressure. We won't get into the physics today. There's the water vapor maps for Africa and Europe. Here's a water vapor map for the Far East and Oceania. Pardon my flipping back and forth, but again, this is streamed live. Next to the water vapor maps for the U.S., and we see a high pressure zone there over the southeastern U.S., as well as a low pressure system off of the coast of New England. And we're going to look at the convergence over Arkansas today, as we see a bunch of lines that look like electromagnetic field force lines in the sky, which are not caused by anything man-made, nor can they be, due to the wattage requirements for that. No, there's no HARP base there causing the clouds to do that. And it's not even really that weird looking. By the way, this looks like an upper level low, and so it's going to be kind of held up by all this dry massive air, which acts like a wall, as nitrogen is more massive than water vapor. Next, we'll take a look at the U.S. Doppler radar map. And there's the current state of affairs there. And am I visible? I am visible. Oh my goodness. I've got the Atlantic Ocean shining through my face. All I can say is please don't rain on me today. I don't need it to be any more miserable than it already is trying to go around in public and do things, since that's part of my job, as I work in the administrative department of a lab testing company that also does nutritional integrity, but mainly food safety testing. There's the current lightning situation on the planet. Lightningmaps.org is a good source for real-time lightning maps that I like to use. And we just saw a bolt strike right there near the Iowa-Minnesota border. Fairmont probably just heard some thunder. And hey, Smash Team, thanks for tuning in. And thanks, patrons, for being the actual source of monetary funding for the channel. Monetary support. Please consider becoming a patron, as our funding is lacking hard, and it's holding up our processes. Here's the intensity gram from the local yellow dwarf. Looking at that sunspot, there are the umbrae, and you can see all the umbrae are associated with the leading field, which is North Pole polarity. And here's the view in colorized magnetogram. and I'll rock this back and forth so you can see what's where. So there are the ombre. Again, they're all associated with these fields right here. And again, if we see dark spots form back here, then that'll become a beta class sunspot. Until then, it's alpha class. 99.9% sure there. There is a little bit of magnetic mixing happening, but it's not looking too rowdy. And let's close things out looking at a 48-hour view in 171 angstroms, my personal favorite. One of the ionized states of iron. And let's get that to play. And let's get me to vanish. That's the $1 Million Man sound, by the way. I mean the $6 Million Man sound. You know, when he does anything bionic, it goes. Anyway, keep an eye on the Stereo A Core 2 Space Weather Beacon coronagraph, as that might show us a coronal mass ejection kicking off throughout the day today, as we see some plasma bubbling out in our direction and kind of hanging out. Keep watching that sunspot. We'll thank our viewers for tuning in to the daily space weather. Please consider sharing the content on your social media, and we'll be putting out more clips of videos coming soon, especially if we can get like 2 cents worth of funding. And by the way, I make about 2 cents per hour for making these videos, even less than Tony Heller for his, as he has tens of thousands of subs. So in any case, stare at the sun, don't drink. If you do drink, don't drive. Don't be an April fool. Do not be a COVIDiot. And since it'll never be now again, may that solar wind be at your back.